Hello, I'm Jane Hutch and welcome to 1+1. There are plenty of people who might think that Michael T. Jones has the best job in the world. His official title is Chief Technology Ambassador for Google. In reality, it means he gets to work inside one of the most creative invention labs in the world, where the future is literally being created, then travel the world explaining that future to the rest of us. But each of those steps into the future is also another giant leap into our personal lives as we hand over more and more of our private information to companies like Google, Apple and Facebook in return. Part of Michael Jones's job is to be the friendly face that reassures us that our secrets are safe with these massive corporations. Does he succeed? Michael Jones is speaking with Ben Knight.
Michael Jones, welcome to 1+1.
Thank you.
I read somewhere that you're someone who's been inventing since you're in the 4th grade. So now, as the Chief Technological Ambassador for Google, you must still be pinching yourself.
I'm so excited to work at a place that we touch 1 billion lives every day.
But just for someone who is obviously a bit of a geek, you're walking around the world carrying one of the most powerful business cards in the world. What does that mean?
Well, it means, in my case, that we want to make sure governments know how we can help them. If there's something we can do, if we can put a tsunami alert on the front page of the Google search page, maybe we can save lives. If we can warn people about disasters, we can save lives. So it's always a question of helping governments understand what we do and then listening to understand what they need.
Do governments always want that kind of help?
I think governments always want help. They like to control things, and there's a little discomfort. The internet, whether it's Google or whether it's Twitter or Facebook, isn't really controlled exactly by governments, but they see the power of that, and they're attracted to the power, and they want to know how we can serve them and serve their people. And of course, we all want to do that. We're nice people as well as business people. Love to help.
And how do you go with countries like China, for example, or in parts of the Middle East, where the internet and computers have played such a role in overthrowing governments? Now, those governments that still remain, I mean, are they inviting you in?
Well, they definitely want to talk to us. They want to understand our purpose. And that's a very simple question. Is it your goal to undermine our government? We say, no. And so, is it your goal to help people that want to undermine our government? And we say, it's our goal to help every human learn and share. So if you're an unpopular leader, then you may see us as a threat. If you're a popular leader, you may see us as your greatest ally. We don't have a personal side in it. We're a mirror of reality. If you don't like what you see, you should work on the reality.
Now, Google is, at its core, a collator and an organiser of information. That also means that you control that information in a way that probably some of those governments would like to control it. If you have a look at, say, YouTube, which Google owns, you recently decided that you would restrict access to the video The Innocence of the Muslims in Libya and also in Egypt. Now, how do you reconcile that with the mission statement?
It's a challenge. It's a challenge. The truth is, there is a hierarchy in life. So individually, we might serve king and country, or God and country and family, or you have a hierarchy. Well, in business, you serve the laws of the land and the people of the land. That's very simple. So in a country that has a law, if the law is, if we operate Google Mail in their country, we have to inform the police on everything people do, then we don't offer Google Mail in those countries. We can't have the product be there and disobey the law, but it's up to us whether we have a product be in those countries. And so we don't have, for example, in China, Gmail is not a feature there. Because if we had it there, we'd have to do things that we wouldn't feel comfortable doing. So our way of dealing with uncomfortable laws is to disengage, basically, the products that those laws would apply to and make us be uncomfortable.
In those countries where you are welcome and where you're free to operate in whichever way that you want, between you and, say, Apple, for example, there's been this massive change where so many people, and I'm one of them, now rely so much on Google and on Apple for the way that I run my life, for the way that I work, for the way that I spend my recreation time. Should I be worried about how much control and information you've got about me?
I think you should be worried about getting where you want to go if you use Apple Maps, to be honest. You're taking your life in your own hands there. But what we know is basically public information. I think it's overrated sometimes, the insight that these companies have. We try to gather insight to be able to help you better. But the insight we gather is very simple. We say, well, here's a user with this Gmail account, and when they do searches, and they search for Paris Hilton, they want to see pictures of a girl, or they want to see hotel bookings. Later on, when you search for Paris Hilton, we know which to show you. We don't inform anybody. We don't make a value judgment. It's just we have better information for you. It's the sort of information that a concierge might give you in a hotel. If you asked for a restaurant and they looked at you and you were wearing a tuxedo or you were in a bathing suit, they might offer you a different recommendation. And that's the kind of thing we aspire to do. It's not really to model you the way a psychiatrist might. It's not that deep. But it is true that we gather information. And sometimes, for example, storing your search history, you might have searched for how to suffocate someone, and then it comes up in a trial that somebody gets suffocated. Maybe you're accused. The police want us to tell them if you search for suffocation techniques. And so we do get involved sometimes in this border between the private information and the public information, but rarely. Usually it's just public information. You'll find that Google has a website where every time a government asks us to inform on somebody or take down a website or do something that would be different than our goal to organize world's information and make it universally accessible and useful, every time that happens, we put up a note like, Australia blocked one more website today. Australia wanted 7 things not searchable. Australia made us do this. We put that up there. Now there's a reason why Australia is on the Reporters Without Borders list of states to watch. You know, the black countries are Iran and North Korea and China, and the red countries include Australia, sadly, at the present. So it's good to watch those requests and see what we're being forced to do by court order.
How do you see this all unfolding over the next 5 years, where we've moved away from the shiny gadget and we've moved more into integrating your life with the cloud? Now, how's that going to develop? Where do you see it headed?
Well, I think you'll have more things connected, whether it's in Facebook or Google or anything on Apple products, whatever it is, they'll all be connected. Then as you walk around, your location is going to be an ever bigger part of that. So already when you walk around in Google, we kind of know where you're at, and we can say, oh, there's a restaurant, it's lunchtime, there's a restaurant you like just around the corner that has a special on. Okay, so that's either helpful or that's frightening. It depends on how you like that.
How do you feel about it?
How do I feel? I like it when it's helpful. So the key is when it's helpful. If I'm looking for a car and I search for cars, and then I see a Google ad for the same cars, that's helpful. If I searched for a car and I bought a car and then I saw an ad for a car, that would be irritating. So the question is the quality of the information.
But how do you feel about having someone who is able to not only work out who you are, what you like, what you have been searching for at 2 o'clock in the morning on the internet, which you might not necessarily want someone to know about, but can physically pinpoint you with something as simple, and we know it's simple, as hacking the password to one of these cloud accounts? How do you feel about that?
I think it's actually a kind of an exciting opportunity, to be honest. I think the issue is that it's done well and it's somebody you can trust. But I think everybody sort of secretly dreams of having a butler or a personal valet, like you might see some royalty have. We can build that for you in your phone. We need to know a little bit about your preferences, which kind of restaurants you like, what shoe size you have, and then we can help you know things. We don't really ever tie it to people. We don't know the people. We only know the account. We're trying to make sure that we can give you information you want.
That assumes that Google and Apple and the others will always be the good guys, and they'll be the only ones who will ever use that technology and will stay altruistic. But that's not always guaranteed. And so that ability to track someone physically in time and space and steal their identity, do you think it's at a dangerous point?
I don't see a lot of stealing of identities. I think what's important is that you only work with people that you trust. I certainly trust Apple, and I trust Google, and I trust Microsoft for that matter. These are not corrupt organizations. These are nice people trying to serve you. They have, like in the case of Google, everybody that uses Google does it voluntarily. You can do a search at Google. You could have gone somewhere else. You came to us. If you felt we might betray you, you wouldn't come to us. So we stand to lose $30 billion or more the moment people lose trust in us.
One of the things you're particularly good at is predicting the future in terms of technology. But have you ever been surprised when something pops up on the market and you just say, I did not expect that?
Of course. And it's always a misunderstanding of basic human psychology. So computers, the future of technology is not the future of computers. It's the future of people. And it is what do people want. So if you look at Facebook and you say, I can't believe that's so successful. Well, if you would see women washing a painting of women washing clothes at the Ganges River, then you would know that they were talking to each other about, did you see Mary's dress? And so this Facebook is that. The future technology is just helping people do the things they already like to do.
So you think we'll be walking around with more gadgets that are connected in more ways?
I think the importance of that gadget, that connection, will be dramatically more important than it is now. I think that very few people that have a smartphone would be willing to, if you leave your house and forget it at home, I think almost everyone would go back and get it. I think the number of people who would say, well, I'll get it tomorrow, is really almost zero. So it's just like you've become a cyber person who's half person, half phone, because you can't imagine living without your phone. Now, I'm not saying it should be that way. I'm sure there are monks that live quite successfully without a phone. I'm just saying that I think most people that have these phones don't want to live without them a single hour. There are 7 billion people, 2 billion of them have internet, but 4 billion of them have mobile telephones. So really the day of the computer is over as far as consumers are concerned. The day of the mobile device is the new day. And what I see is happening is that device is going to become ever more intimate. You'll wear it. You won't have it in your pocket. It'll be in your glasses or in your ear. It'll be essentially part of one of your sensory organs.
So with companies like Google, like Apple, like Microsoft, like Facebook, who have such enormous influence and really have such enormous power and who own so much of our lives, they're in an American corporate environment where it still comes down to the bottom line. Do we really trust that people like you and work in the companies like that get up in the morning and believe that the best thing they can do today is to serve people like us? Is it really about the good stuff, or is it about the dollar?
I think that's a good question. I think you should decide the following thing. Do you want the world's information available to you? And if you do, it's got to come from one of two sources. Either your government, or like the United Nations or some other government, or it's got to come from a company. So who do you trust more, Google or your administration? And it's a good question. Who do you trust more, Google or your mayor? And I think to be truthful, we have a pretty unblemished record of doing our very best to serve every human. And we certainly aren't an American policy vehicle. We don't serve American politicians or American policies. We serve truth and comprehensiveness to every human as best we possibly can. So what I would like to be judged on is our actual behavior. So far, I think we get an A, or maybe even an A+.
Michael Jones, thanks for going 1+1.
Of course, at Google we call that 2. Thank you.